That's so cool.
Just go. Okay. Well, let me say, we're thrilled that you're here, and I'm even more thrilled that Adam is here. I think it's like the 11th year or something. We love you, and we are inspired by you. And here you go. Without further ado, Adam Savage.
Let me get my stuff out. How are you guys doing today? So last year I got here and I was getting ready to get on another giant animal to ride over to the stage. And Sherry said, you know, everyone's eager to hear your Sunday sermon. And I said, Sunday sermon, what's that? And she said, that's what we call your Sunday talk. And no one had told me. So I decided this year to write something more akin to a sermon. A secular one, to be sure, but... oh, my brothers and sisters, my sisters and brothers, welcome to Faire. It is lovely to see your shining and beautiful faces, to see the inspiration that is here. And, well, hey, Sherry, is there a mic stand possible or not?
Drop your umbrella.
Do you want to move the umbrella? No, you guys can see me. I'm visible, right? What's that? Strap the mic on the umbrella. No. Where are we and where are we going? Where we are is amazing. Driverless cars might mean the end of 1 million vehicle-related deaths per year. With technology and science, we have improved the overall health and wellness of humans to the point that it is better now than it has ever been in history. We can produce calories cheaper than imaginable 50 years ago, and luxuries like washing machines, cars, and televisions are part of nearly every single household, where the internet makes so much connectivity possible that the Barbie-collecting banker in Japan can become best friends with the LARPing poet in Spokane. Things are pretty cool. This is a terrible time, where our open internet is under threat, where automation will eliminate millions of jobs in the next decade, where the disparity between the richest and the poorest of us increases every single day, where the color of one's skin can radically alter the outcome of trivial interactions. Things as simple and quotidian as driving down the street or flying on an airplane are fraught with uncertainty at best. Thank you. Oh. Hello. Oh, much better. Things as simple and quotidian as driving down the street or flying on an airplane are fraught. Where are they? With uncertainty at best and lethal danger at worst, where interconnectivity still yields cliques and exclusive groups, leading teens on social media to feel more alone and more marginalized, where partisan politics, where science, the crucible of human progress, has become attached to partisan politics, the engine of exclusion and marginalization, where our planet is being irrevocably changed for the worse by our bad habits. As William Gibson famously said, the future is already here, it's just not very evenly distributed. Both of these things are true. At the same exact time, things are as they have always been. They are both great and terrible. But where are we now? Now, temporarily, we are at the Faire mothership in San Mateo, where we are celebrating that it has never been a better time to be a maker. What unbelievable tools we have at our disposal. We have 3D printers, final cutters, scanners, laser engravers, and every hand tool imaginable. And we are here because of you, mad scientists, makers, tinkerers, modders, plotters, planners, organizing teachers, parents, and inventors find that being around each other is inspiring, and seeing what other mad geniuses, makers, tinkerers, modders, plotters, planners, organizers, teachers, parents, and inventors are doing invests our work with more purpose and gives us ideas to go back home. It's invigorating and it's heartwarming. We are here to be part of a solution. We may not be able to see the pathway to the solution that can lead to an overall fulfilled, healthy, safe, and well-educated populace, but we can take each step that seems like the right one that's in front of us, and we can get together and share enthusiasm. That is a great first step to take. We come from so many different backgrounds and circumstances and families, and yet we are all here together. The Industrial Revolution turned us into a cargo cult and gave us consumerism, for better or worse. But we are here as a vanguard of a new way of thinking about consumerism. The devices that we are currently calling rapid prototyping machines will soon become so good they will be rapid manufacturing machines. The current product release model that requires expensive advanced tooling and fulfillment chains to be developed at massive human and financial cost is about to give way to countless versions of the on-demand model, where iterative invention can take weeks instead of months, hours instead of days. The economy of scale, wherein Apple has to make millions of iPhones to enjoy the cost savings that make one affordable to a person, that economy of scale is about to collapse. And I think that's a good thing. It means that I can buy my next computer case from a kid down the street and enjoy their hard work and innovation, as well as having a personal connection to them. I am all for that. William Gibson has in one of his books that looks just a little bit into the future, a community in the Southwest called the Sandbenders. And he posits this future where we no longer buy new laptops. We just buy bigger hard drives and slightly better screens, and we put them into a pre-existing case. And so this group in the Southwest is taking recycled materials and silver and turquoise and making laptop cases that are highly personalized to each buyer, and they're called the Sandbenders. I love the Sandbender future. We're opening up maker spaces every single day in libraries, schools, hospitals, rec centers, boys and girls clubs, community centers, all over the country and all over the world. And we are here working hard to equalize and democratize the access to those spaces, working hard to share best practices, curricula, fundraising tips, and even tools and techniques with each other. And with these maker spaces, we are training a generation of makers, inventors, and digital natives to manipulate their world, hopefully for the better. And there may be a James Bond villain in here somewhere. Right now that position's taken by Elon Musk. And if he's our generation's Bond villain, we're not doing so bad. Elon spoke at TED this year, and he said a quote I love. He said why is he doing all the crazy stuff that he's doing? Because he just wants to be able to think about the future and not be sad. I can't think of a better sentiment, no matter what side you fall on in any of these debates. So why make? Why do we make? There are as many reasons as there are hearts and minds, but some of the more significant ones. We make because in a world of suffering such as we live, having the illusion of control over an empty bench or a blank page or a silent room is how we build energy to help those around us. We make because humans have always worked out their problems in microcosm, and while we share child-rearing traits with orcas and social hierarchies with gray wolves, we are the only ones making marks on paper about it. We make because we're storytellers, using the narrative form to understand our universe, our surroundings, and each other. Stories are how we truly communicate and make sense of our experience. We make because iterative failure is as important a technique as iterative success. And let's talk about failure. I know that I did this last year, but it's worth repeating. By the age of 13, a young girl has already been inculcated with the cultural idea of perfection that she'd rather say she didn't complete her coding assignment than show 5 pages of bad code. People who don't admit to failure and resist confronting their own shortcomings will eventually be the inhibitors of progress. They are the opposite of agents of change. They're anti-reagents. We need to talk about helping kids to understand failure, but we need to talk first about what we mean by failure and what benefits it might yield. When we say failure, we truly mean failure with a small f. Failure with a capital F is like, I got drunk and missed my own surprise party. Or my son's bar mitzvah. No, I tried to make that a joke, but it's so horrifying no one ever laughs. When we're talking about failure, again, we mean with a small f. And what we mean is things not going according to plan. Nothing ever goes according to plan. Nothing ever goes according to plan. And that's the plan. That whenever you set out to make something from nothing, a song, a poem, a table, you start with a plan and then things go awry. If Buddha had to choose a fifth truth underneath his tree, I'm convinced it would be nothing ever goes according to plan. And that's why we do it. Because confronting ourselves and our own biases in the microcosm of the blank sheet of paper, the empty room, or the pristine bench is how we practice and succeed at better taking, knowing ourselves and our loved ones. It's how we come to know and love ourselves. We can't, just as the flight attendant says, you've got to put on your own oxygen before putting the oxygen on your child. This is how we practice. And so, my fellow makers, mad geniuses, tinkers, modders, plotters, planners, organizers, teachers, parents, and inventors, let us help the moral arc of the universe bend towards justice. Let us go forward and spread the word that we can use our skills for good, for the betterment of our lives, our communities, and our planet. This isn't partisan. Let's move forward with these things in mind: acceptance, inclusion, sustainability, democratized access, creativity, support, forgiveness, safety, and love. As the late amazing statistician Hans Rosling said, I have a suggestion for a new term for the developing world. Let's just call it the world. Let's here together at Maker Faire work together on making a better one. That's my Sunday sermon. So say we all. Nice. You can almost always tell where a talk of mine is in its development. When there's no laughs in it, it means it's a first draft. I always forget to put laughs in the first draft because I'm just getting the material out. And now I have some more time up here on the dais, and I'd love to take some questions from you lovely people. Yes, sir. What is next in my career? Your guess is as good as mine. I am still working hard with the amazing team at Tested.com to do more one-day builds. We are traveling to some faraway lands soon to do some amazing builds, the stuff that we have more 3D printers than we have staff members at this point. Yeah, and some of them don't suck actually now. This is really cool. Tested is still a primary center. I have pitched some other television ideas and I'm waiting to hear if some of those will take. I'm really excited about telling stories on television again, but I also love this new format where you don't necessarily need television. Yeah, it's great. Someone said recently, they suggested on Twitter that I should host a Saturday morning maker show. I love this idea so much, we're actually starting to dive into the possibilities of something like that. Yeah. Besides that, oh, nice. Oh, is this for me? What is, this is, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. This isn't for me. It is? Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Oh, thank you so much. It's so beautiful. Look, I'll post a picture of this up on my Twitter. Oh my God, and there's oh, there's us. Fabulous. Oh, I love this stuff. When I move to another shop, one of the key things that I need is lots and lots of wall space. Oh my God, my diet Snapples. Hydration is important, especially here. Yeah, ultimately, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, and that's a great part of the plan. My boys are 18, so we're in a big, massive shift. You know, our whole world's about to change. My wife graduated yesterday from grad school. Yes! Congratulations to Mrs. Don't try this. Other questions? Yes, sir. I should do my experiments here instead of on TV. Do you know that would take all day and it would be crushingly boring? The best part about television is we cut out all the 10 hours of screw-ups and just cut in the really funny ones. You know, the reason you never saw Jamie get hurt is because he would refuse to react because he knew that would get on television. So he'd be like, I might have some stitches, but it doesn't matter. Yes, young man in the F3 hat. Why do I call Jamie Heineman the walrus? Because his parents were a walrus and an otter. So it's a choice, but I think an otter's too small for Jamie, so I think he's a walrus. Yes, sir. Yes, yeah. What was my favorite build? It was whatever build I just completed. So I just, many of you know we went to Weta Workshop last summer, and Peter Lyon, the amazing sword master at Weta, taught me how to make my own Strider sword. And that was an amazing day. He also taught me the right kind of aluminum to use to make a movie-type weapon, and a whole bunch of technique. And last week, I used the skills that he taught me to do my favorite one-day build yet. And it was... So this is funny, right? Like, obviously, I build stuff for a living. I build it all day long, and my crew, you know, I show them what I'm working on, and we talk about it. But I finished this one build, and I walked in, and the absolute level of surprise on all my crew of like, wow, this is really good. Not just good, it's actually really good. And I'm like, I know, I'm just as impressed as you are. Yes, young person, yes. The longest build. Well, there's still some uncompleted ones. You know, the alien spacesuit took me about 11 years. And again, this isn't 11 solid years. This is like 40 hours every few months of like diving in. I'm just about to complete, actually I've been collaborating with a friend of mine in Australia on the Colonel Kurtz's folder from Apocalypse Now. We went on a deep dive. So the Apocalypse Now, if you haven't seen it, kids, don't watch it. It's not for children. But I can't control you. Apocalypse Now's central storytelling arc is that Willard is going through this folder about Colonel Kurtz, and it's this whole life story. And so we unpacked the film, and my friend actually found many of the original photographs that were used to be modified for Apocalypse Now. And then we made up all these fake documents, and we found pieces, and Francis Coppola actually gave me access to what's left of the real folder, which is like 15 pages, and that's it. But that was invaluable. So this is like, that was 5 or 6 years of work together to finish that one. Yeah, you know, I had to build a whole wall of shelves in my shop just to see uncompleted projects. So like, to me, there's never, people's like, how do you get stuff done? And I'm like, I get about a third of what I'm doing done. Everything else is sitting there waiting, taunting me. Yes?
What inspired you to start to make things?
What's that?
What inspired you to start to make things? How do you deal with an overwhelming litany of half-filled notebooks and unfinished projects?
Oh, okay, nice. The way I deal with half-finished notebooks is I put them all on the same shelf. What inspired me to start building stuff? Where's my mom? Where's my mom? There. Where is she? There's my mom. My mom is 83, and I can't keep up with her. And she and my dad always sought to put in front of me the things that I was interested in. The only thing that I try to do with my kids, and what you guys are all doing here with your kids, trying to figure out what they're interested in, find their passion, and figure out if that's enough to push them forward into something. We always find our excellence in the thing we cannot not do, and my parents were wonderful examples of that. That was my inspiration. How about a young woman? Yes. My greatest failure that I've learned the most from, well, I've been divorced. That sucked. You know, I don't know if there's learning the most. The fact is that, you know, from every failure, you're going to learn about yourself. That's the thing. And you've got to confront that. Like, only we, each of us in our hearts, know how truly venal and jealous and lazy we each are in our own little lives. You know, so to me, when I get asked something like, you know, how did you get where you were? And people want to think about a linear story of success. None of them are actually linear, but they're all based upon knowing myself through failures, through being able to confront and forgive myself and ask for forgiveness for the things that I've done to my friends and my loved ones that, you know, when I wasn't paying attention. I think really all my failures are going to be categorizable as failures of a lack of attention on the right thing. Right? That seems to me, it only just occurred to me up here right now at this second, so I'm going to have to unpack this. But I think that is really the thing, right? Just paying attention, paying careful attention to what's going on and what your complicity in it is. I know I'm talking really abstract, so you want a really good screw-up story. You know, on Mythbusters, we did a 22,000-foot fall. And we had to raise Buster 400 feet above the ground because that was the height at which he'd reach terminal velocity when he hit our train station. And I had worked out everything except for the transfer of Buster's weight onto the balloon, and there was like this 1 foot jump that was going to occur when I pulled this quick release. And I thought, oh, it's going to be fine. And that 1 foot yank on the rope ended up giving 5 separate people rope burns and causing a failure of our 6 weather balloons, which were 6 of the last 12 weather balloons in the United States of the size that we could order in time for this story. And by the way, we were up in Gold Country and it was 118 degrees in the shade. So we were showing up every morning at 3 a.m. and working by car headlights to get ready to film by 9 a.m. because the fire risk was so high, the fire department was requiring us to leave by 10 a.m. And I screwed this one up, meaning that instead of finishing on a Friday, we all had to wrap up and go home and come back the next day. That sucked. Behind me, yes, hello. If there's one thing I could say to inspire young makers, did I meet you at the airport just the other day? Okay, good. I thought I was remembering. God, one thing? Can I choose like 20? Yeah. It feels like such a... the pressure's on for that sort of thing. Let's see. I mean, ultimately I start with saying to know yourself, to try and really know yourself and be honest about what's going on, as I was just saying about your attention. But the other one was take your own counsel. And what I mean by that is, the thing I learned on Mythbusters, what made me realize that the show turned me into a scientist, was that I could look at material, and if I kept on reading enough, as mystifying as it seemed, eventually the switch would turn and I go, wait a minute, what about this thing? And that's the moment at which I've actually dived one level deeper into the material, and now I have something, and I have a handle. And so we spend so much of our time thinking that we're not experts enough to even talk about something. I remember being 18 and thinking, well, I'm never going to have time to learn how to weld. I literally had that thought at 18, looking at somebody else's welded project. That is like one of the stupidest things my brain has ever pushed up front as a thought. Because there's plenty of time to learn new skills. There's endless amounts of time to keep learning new skills. That's another one. That's a great question, thank you. Yes, in the hat. Was there any? No, you know, Tested came about as this wonderful collaboration, first with Will Smith and Norman Chan, and now just with Norman and our amazing team. It's growing bigger every single year. And it's changing and morphing as we play with it. It's like the greatest playground. Again, you know, you never know how long these things are going to last or what their futures are going to be. You know, Tested may end up becoming an incubator for several different television shows or shows on other media. That would be great, but it might also change into a suite of sites. It might, you know, I'm not exactly sure. Let's see, farther in the back, let's see. Yes, back there in the purple shirt, yep.
Have you ever watched the movie Meet the Robinsons?
I have not seen Meet the Robinsons. This is clearly a failing. Hold on, I'm going to make a note. Watch it now. Meet the Robinsons. What is it? It's amazing. Okay. You have a puppet? Oh my God, he's beautiful. I love him. I love puppets. Okay, I see you. Let's see. Hello. How about purple? Yeah, right there. Go for it. I have not. I guess that. I will try. Okay. Look at all you guys holding up. Who is the yellow person? Is that the bride? It's supposed to be me, and I'm shooting something. That is... It's what? It's for me? Oh my God. Okay, now I think I can safely talk. Look at that. Ooh, that is so lovely. Wow, I look more badass than I ever will in life. And you've completed my beard. You've eliminated the little space here, so maybe I'll try that. And I'm on the carcass of an alien! Oh my God, you put me in the Alien Covenant spacesuit. Thank you. That's because that's all I want to be, is back inside the Alien Covenant spacesuit. Oh my goodness, I'm getting some booty from this. You guys are awesome. Okay, young man in the Captain America shirt.
What is your favorite tool?
My favorite?
Tool?
My favorite tool? It's hard to beat a multi-tool of any kind. I don't care what kind it is. It can be $10. You got a Leatherman? No. It can be $10. It can be a Swiss Army knife. I've gone through many, many dozens over the years. But the multi-tool on my belt is so important that whenever I fly, I was just back east in Boston and Detroit this week, and I find it crippling. Like, it's literally part of my almost hourly practice to reach down and find that, and multiple times per day as I'm checking my pockets, the Leatherman's not there when I fly, and I'm all like, ah, I feel like I'm missing a shoe. That also being said, it's really hard to beat a hammer. All right, farther in the back. Yes, yes, the young man in the red shirt. What is my favorite character from Star Wars? It's Chewbacca. Yes, he's pure of heart, and he's an excellent engineer, and he'll also tear your head right off. He's loyal, and he's smart. I mean, he's like the best dog, but even better than that, because you can talk to him. No, I love Chewie. I wore Chewie down here at Silicon Valley Comic-Con, and I'm hoping to, I'll say this, I'm wearing Chewie again at San Diego Comic-Con, because I can't not put on the Chewbacca costume now. So if there are other Chewbacca's out there and you want to meet me at San Diego Comic-Con, we could have a Wookiee meetup. Totally, Wookiee party? Wookiee cocktail party? Yes, way in the back. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I can hear you.
Telephone.
Did someone hear that?
What made you decide to do Mythbusters?
What made me decide to pursue Mythbusters? That was actually a call from Jamie Heineman. We were originally hired as talent on that show. And Jamie called me up and said, I've gotten, my shirt's on inside out. No, it's not. I'm confused. I thought the buttons were on the wrong side. Yeah, in 2002, Jamie Heineman, who had been my former boss, called me up and said, I've gotten a call from Discovery to do this weird show called Mythbusters. And I remember saying, that's a terrible name for a show. And he said, they want a demo reel. And I said, okay, I could come in this weekend. He said, no, they want it like by Friday. And this was Tuesday. So I went in and we filmed for a couple of hours that morning. And I was working on the Matrix films at that time. The second two, not the good one. Sorry about that. And we shot this demo reel, and they brought us in, and we started filming in May of 2002, and we literally never stopped filming until November of 2015. It was 13 straight years. Yeah, it was tiring. Jamie's got a completely artificial arm now. I'm kidding. Yes, young lady.
What's the worst injury you've had from making something?
The worst injury I've had from making something? Well, you have to take your pick of the stitches that I have gotten. I have about 75 spread between my two hands. And they're almost always multiples of 7. This is not by design. My very first set of stitches, I was 16, and I was making a lot of models, and I was already obsessed with toolkits. So I had this leather bag, and I was storing all my model tools in the leather bag, and I was carrying it, I was literally carrying it like across my room. There was nowhere for me to go, but I still wanted all my tools in a single bag. A thing I'm still seeking. And a little X-Acto blade had fallen out of its case and worked its way into the corner of my bag, sticking out where it was totally invisible, but still dangerous. And as I picked up my bag, it brushed against my calf. And I didn't even notice it. I just felt like it brushed against my calf, but then about 10, 15 minutes later, I was like, why is my shoe full of water? And I looked, yeah. This is when I discovered that I don't pass out at the sight of blood, luckily, because I had 7 stitches right here on the back of my calf. And then I got I accidentally put my hand through a plate glass window about a year later, and I got 7 more stitches. And I was like, wow, 7 and 7. And then a grinder bit me between my fingers here, and that was 7 stitches. And then a bandsaw grabbed me on my index finger here. You know, they were invented for cutting meat. And gave me 14 stitches. The doctor tried to say 12 stitches, and I was like, I'm sorry? I said, you're gonna have to add 2 stitches because I can't break the cycle of multiples of 7 now. And he did, he added these 2 tiny little stitches. And then, I also received the most common Mythbuster, the injury that waylaid more Mythbuster staff than any other is a broken finger from moving safety equipment. Those bulletproof shields weigh about 150 pounds apiece, and as you move them, if your finger gets between them and anything, your finger loses. And I broke my third metacarpal here, which was, it sort of broke this great story I had. Because up till then, I had only broken a single bone. So whenever anyone got around and talked about how many bones they'd broken, your skateboarding friends, my son broke his femur on a skateboard, holy crap. People would talk about broken bones, and somebody would turn to me, and I'd always wait for this. They go, have you ever broken a bone? And I said, I've only broken one bone. I broke my neck. Which is true. When I was 18, I was being an idiot, and I was doing a huck fin off of a lighthouse jetty in the Hudson River. And this is my mom's worst nightmare. And I dove headfirst into a rock that was right under the water that I did not see. And because I was diving straight, I had a compression fracture rather than a snap, and that's the reason I'm standing here today. Funny story, I'm going to tell this on my mom here. My grandfather was a surgeon at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York, and even though my injury happened upstate, we wanted to go where we had some juice. So after we determined that I'd broken my neck, we put me in an ambulance and we took me up to Columbia Presbyterian, where I was born, by the way. And this injury happened on my 18th birthday. So I arrive on the ambulance, and my mom is in the car right behind, and they wheel me in, and my mom stops at the counter, and they say, has your son ever been in this hospital before? And my mom says, no. Wait a minute. Yes, he was born here 18 years ago today. And then she passed out. I'm pretty sure that's how that happened, right? Yeah. That's what happens when you're a parent. You have no idea what's going to grab you. Yes, in the yellow. When did I get my first electric saw? Oh, wow, that's great. My first electric tool that was really important to me, I'm trying to think through the saw. I don't think I got a circular saw for years and years and years. The first big tool I had was a cordless drill, the old Makita, the very first one with that long battery that was like a magazine. Oh, that thing was so awesome. It survived for 20 years on my watch, and I think I still have the body of that drill somewhere. Circular saws are great for cutting your fingers off. They terrify me. Circular saws and table saws are the scariest things that I use every single day. I can't I'm always imagining as I'm feeding wood into a table saw that like a group of clumsy greased ball bearing movers are about to spill ball bearings across and then I'll, I think I'm going to get a saw stop. That's the next thing. Yes, sir, in the yellow.
Yeah, would you consider doing a one-day build at the Dallas Makerspace?
I would consider, you're asking about the Dallas Makerspace specifically, but I would consider doing one-day builds at all sorts of makerspaces, and we have been doing a little bit of that. On this on this sort of fact-finding tour that I've been doing under a grant from Chevron that started from the OSTP under the Obama administration. We have been traveling and doing a little bit of making in spaces, and it's part of a much more long-term ongoing project that I want to do, because in late last year, I participated in Obama's South by South lawn celebration, his version of South by Southwest. And as part of that, I went to the Digital Harbor Foundation in Baltimore, and we built, under Jen Schachter's amazing design, the SXSL letters that were 7 feet tall and lit up. And we built that with 50 kids at the Digital Harbor Foundation. And it was a long 12-hour day, 50 kids making these 4 letters. That was twice as much fun as being at the White House the next day. And I had a great time at that party.
How do we get on your list?
What's that?
How do we get on your list?
How do we get on?
Our contacts?
Well, so I'm not sure how this is going to proceed. I now sit on the board of the wonderful Nation of Makers. Nation of Makers, if you don't know, I'm sure most of you do, is a nonprofit geared towards helping makerspaces share best practices and curricula and ideas and tools and techniques with other makerspaces. All these makerspaces I mentioned, many of them are starting up in a vacuum. And we want them to have a community. We want them to find a community as soon as they raise their head above and say, I want to build a space to empower kids to change things around them. And so this is likely to continue under the auspices of NOM, Nation of Makers. Back here, yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. In the race of the lifespan of the human race, where do you think making will take us, and where do you think making will take you?
That is a really great question. So to benefit the human race, where do I think making will place within that? I think look, making, if we're to be really clear, is the newest term for the oldest thing, right? But I think of what's happening right now as akin to post-war car culture, where we learn that cars are not black boxes, and we're learning that nothing is a black box anymore. That we could make one of these with parts we buy on Alibaba or Amazon and put them together, and we can 3D print the casings for them. So I feel like making is going to go. I want making to go from global conglomerates back down to community-based, on-demand manufacturing. So I love companies like Shinola and companies like One Wheel, based in San Jose, that are bringing manufacturing home and showing that it's a completely workable model to make your stuff entirely in the United States with local labor, and you now have a much better story about that. Where do I place in that? I just want to keep amplifying that story, because to me it's my favorite story. When I buy something, all I do with this phone is complain about how Apple continuing to treat me like a product instead of a consumer. But that's everybody's complaint. But when you give somebody something, when you hand somebody something that you make, these things, each one of these things comes with the time of the maker. I can see it in the process. That's a story about their day, thinking about stuff that I'm thinking about too. That's a story that we share, and that's my continued favorite story. I'm about to, later on this year, start to make some props in editions. Instead of just one-off props, I want to make several that are in multiples. And the reason I want to do that is not to sell them, I want to trade them. I want to trade the things that I make to others for the things that they make, because now both of those objects are imbued with a great story. How's that? All right. We got like 25 more minutes. Yes, sir, in the beard. I don't know if when is DEF CON this year? I had a great time at DEF CON. I loved going to DEF CON. I love speaking at the Hope Conference. I love being told, you probably should shut down your phone and your laptop and put them inside a metal bag, because it's not like anyone's going after you specifically, but they will find them. Look, I greatly value that community's commitment to open architecture and cross-communication and, trying to benefit humanity by eliminating security through obscurity. I don't know that I'll get to DEF CON this year, but it's definitely in my plans to speak there again someday, totally. By the way, the DEF CON people had it down in terms of asset management. They got me into my hotel in Vegas and up to the stage and back to my hotel in this way that made the Secret Service look like amateurs. That was incredible, man. Yes. No, yes, you. Yep.
How can one join Tested.com or join the things that you're doing?
Say again?
I want to join what you're doing. How do I do it?
Hey, you want to join what I'm doing? Keep following tested.com. As we continue to do stuff that outreaches to the community, that's where it will go up. My Twitter feed is also a great place to go looking. And, you know, again, on the Nation of Makers website as well, each of these projects I'm using to cross-pollinate the other projects and spread the word. Let's see. How about farther in the back? Yes, in the hat. Yep, yeah. What is Jamie up to? Well, right now I think he's still in cryogenic sleep. He plans to come out in November of 2019. I'm kidding. Jamie, I just saw Jamie about 3 weeks ago at an appearance we did together. And it's, you know, it's so funny. We rest on so little ceremony with each other. We hadn't seen each other in 3 months. He walks into the room and goes, hey, and he opens up his laptop, and we didn't say another word for like an hour. He is happily building in his shop in San Francisco. He has modified the space so we can rent some of it out. And, you know, he doesn't have cameras asking him to say things a third or a fourth or a fifth time, and he doesn't have a camera crew slowing him down and, you know, gumming up gaffer tape on his floor. So he's a very happy man. And he's working on some really cool boat designs. Let's see. Yes, sir. How do I tip a cow? Why would I want to tip an animal as gentle and productive and delicious as a cow? I think cow tipping is a total myth, isn't it? It is. Okay. I was wrong about that at some point, but yeah, cow tipping is one. The animal myths were one we never went towards. Although I came across one recently. No, that's not repeatable in public. Okay, let's see here. Let's go over this way. Yes, blonde person in the sunglasses. Yeah.
Where is the headquarters of Tested? Is it in San Francisco?
Where is the headquarters of Tested? It's in a secret location in San Francisco. Yes, puppet master.
Cosplays are you currently working on?
What cosplays am I currently working on? I can't tell you because I'm getting them ready for San Diego Comic-Con. I am working on a James Bond cosplay. Yeah. I'll never be as handsome as James Bond, but I can hide under a facade. So that's one I'm playing with. I am also working on a cosplay that will fulfill a lifelong dream. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to unleash it at Comic-Con. So there's at least 2. I still have a full set of Iron Man armor on my shelf that I have yet to build. Mark III Iron Man armor in fiberglass. It's gorgeous, and I still, for some reason, I kind of don't want to go with red and gold. I sort of want to go with a different color scheme, and I haven't figured out what that color scheme is just yet. What's that?
Purple and green.
Purple and green. Yeah, I don't think so. How about that? Yes. Yep.
What was the first thing you ever built?
The first thing I ever built. I'm not sure of the very first thing I ever built. I have this teddy bear, and I wrote an article in Wired a few years ago about it. I had a teddy bear when I was a kid named Jingle, and he was about a foot tall. And one day, I used to sneak out of my naps. Shocking, I know. I used to sneak out of my naps and do weird stuff. So one point, I went into the food closet and I ate all the Jimmies, right? The sprinkles for ice cream. And then another time I mixed the coffee and the brown sugar. And I just thought they were cool textures together. And I was in this dark closet and my child's brain was like, well, no one's ever gonna look in here. And then my mom found it like, an hour later and she's like, what did you do? And I'm like, how did you know? But this particular time, and this is gonna be I think it's the back is dated 1972, so I was about 5 years old. I snuck out to my dad's studio behind our house and I traced Jingle on a piece of paper in magic marker, and then I snuck a single-edged razor blade and I carefully cut Jingle out of the paper with the razor blade. I still remember like the illicit joy at like carefully doing this and not cutting myself. And then I gave Jingle the things I wanted most in the world, which was a belt with a shiny brass buckle, a vest, and a Superman shirt. My needs were simple back then. Yes, sir, yep. What are my states thinking about the current ethics and politics of machine learning? This is a really wonderful conversation that our culture should be having. There was a lovely TED Talk this year, and I'm terrible with names, but given that said, you know, there are courts in the US using algorithms to determine the possibility that someone will reoffend. These algorithms are proprietary. You cannot read what they're based upon, and by the evidence, they seem to be grossly skewed racially. That's a problem. One of the things this TED Talk this year spoke about was the need for an office of algorithms, perhaps a government office where these things can remain proprietary, but at least there is somebody watching and a cultural discussion over ways to do that correctly. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad to develop an algorithm to figure out someone's proclivity to reoffend, but if that algorithm has any problems with it, the social costs are massive. And so we should be talking about that. So this is my solution for everything, is we should have a reasoned conversation about it. It's not, the technology itself isn't good or bad, it's what we do with it that's good or bad. And you know, I had this problem, I still have this problem with red light cameras. I don't want my accuser to be an algorithm that I can't read. That's why we shouldn't give guns to robots, for Christ's sake. Yes? Someone calls me the ultimate maker. That's totally ludicrous. I am. Well, I'm just another person. I screw up and I yell at my kids and I poop every day like everybody else. So look, I have the luxury of having a large platform, and I appreciate it and I like using it. But I really want to make the case that it's important not to think that anybody is more special than anybody else. This whole world is as much a mystifying ordeal to me as anybody else. So there's nothing ultimate about my making. I screw things up all the time. I don't finish stuff I want to finish. My time estimates for how long it'll take me to finish something, my tested crew will tell you, are off all the time. I overcommit. I don't spend enough time at home. I travel too much. There's all these things that are problematic, but still stuff to work out. But there's, our culture, right, so I'm benefiting from a culture of celebrity at the same time as I'm decrying it. And I know that's a contradiction. But I guess I think of, it's like if you think of somebody as the ultimate of something, you immediately place yourself outside that category. And that's the problem. When I was a kid, I placed myself outside the category of popular and smart people. Those are two separate categories, but I place myself outside that category, and those when you do that, you're damaging yourself. You're damaging the possibilities that you could experience. Nice GoPro Hero 5, by the way. Let's see. Yes, in the green shirt, Star Wars hat.
How do you pick what mechanical animal you ride in every year?
How do I pick what?
Mechanical animal you ride in on every year.
I don't pick what mechanical animal I ride in on. The wonderful organizers here at Maker Faire, Sherry and her incredible team, every time I show up, they're like, I engage with the material very late, but that ant is one of the loveliest things I have ever seen in my life, and I'm a big fan of those guys' puppet work. In fact, yeah, I'm a huge fan of their beautiful work, and it was really fun to drive it in. What's that? Yes. Yep. Can I do my Jamie impression?
Well, I don't know why everyone's just not in their workshops. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm kidding. Jamie loves Maker Faire. He just also prefers to be in his workshop. I haven't done a Jamie impression in months. Thank you for that. It was refreshing. Yes, sir, in the red shirt. The Expanse, how was it to work with the Expanse team? I am here to tell you that show, aside from being a truly great show and deeply hard science fiction, is also like the happiest crew I have ever been around. And I've been around a lot of film crews and television crews. From the top down, from Narain Shankar and James S.A. Corey, the writers and showrunners of the show, everyone down to the painters and sculptors and graphic designers doing the costumers, they all love that show. They love the characters. They love the story. It was so thrilling to spend a week with them. And since they were renewed for another season, I'm hoping to get on the set again. I know they won't have it. I've already died, so I can't come back from the dead. But I totally want to come play with those guys again. And that's like, you know, I got to visit the set of Alien Covenant, and whatever you think of the movie, the artisans and amazing people who put all that stuff together are an incredible team of geniuses. And I never tire of being in an art department and seeing what an army of problem solvers they are, and hearing about the challenges of what it's like to, you know, build the effect of someone to cough up 3 liters of blood in less than a minute. We have this footage, it's up on Tested right now, of these effects crews guys from Alien Covenant crew, like vomiting up 3 liters of blood and then standing up and laughing. It's totally incongruous, but they had to make 3,000 gallons of blood for Alien Covenant. Oh, it's totally on screen too, it's really gory. All right, let's see. How about way over here? Yes, pink shirt. How do I feel about White Rabbit? I love White Rabbit. I love Cary Grant and Tori, and I'm so happy that show is doing well. I have no idea if it's getting picked up. I hope it is, because I think those guys should be on television forever. I can't stop watching them do their crazy shenanigans. Look, you know, yeah. I have great hopes for Science Channel's reboot of Mythbusters. I hope it's great. I have no idea what it's going to look or smell like, but I hope it's great. Yes, sir. Wait, have I ever written code? I have tried. I have tried, Ringo. I wrote my first website in HTML. I wrote my second website in HTML. I think you can still find it online. And I tried a little bit of C coding for the early Arduinos. Never say never, but right now I feel too old to wrap my head around this totally different way of thinking. And I know I'm being totally an idiot. That's the way it feels right now. That's very likely to change, but right now, as I've intersected with it a couple of times, I'm like, I work, and then it's just not quite there. And again, this is a repeated process throughout my life, thinking, well, that's never going to happen, and then cut to, I'm welding entire cars together. Oh yeah, we have 5 more minutes. Let's go way in the back. Yes, in the gray shirt right there. Yep. Who do I look up to? I look up to these kids in the audience. There you are. Hi. I love that you are here. I love that you are asking questions. I love that we're in the Bay Area, that this is the mothership of maker fairs. This is that we're really working towards inclusivity, and we're working towards democratized access, that we're looking towards letting our freak flags fly. I love all the green, purple, orange, yellow hair I see. I love anybody trying to build communities that bring other people in rather than keep other people out. See, I just said something that's seemingly political, and yet that is a completely nonpartisan thing to say. And yet it's not. How screwed up is that? How screwed up is that? It's very disturbing. Okay, yes. Yes. What am I watching? What am I following? I don't watch nearly enough television these days. I'm really excited about the new season of Master of None because I love Aziz. I've heard there's a standalone episode there that my son was telling me I have to watch called I Love New York, or I Love You New York. I continue to follow the wonderful Matthias Wendell, a wonderful maker extraordinaire, builds everything out of plywood. I'm waiting for him to build a car. I'm sure that'll happen. I had Laura Kampf visit the shop the other day. She's here at Maker Faire. She's amazing. And I didn't know when I tweeted a build that she did, a beautiful build that she was good friends with Simone Yatch. And so we brought her in to do a one-day build with me. I'm totally inspired. And then I'm saying, maybe Laura, you could teach me dovetails. And she's like, yeah, maybe I could, but I'm not very good at them. I learned them to do the video about the one-day builds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just like me. That's awesome. So next time she comes, we're going to try and figure out something to learn together. I watch hours and hours and hours of build videos online, sometimes without sound, because I don't need the sound. I just like watching workshops go. And I love even the terrible videos of people who don't edit out their hand screwing of screws for 15 minutes. I don't mind. I just sit there. My wife can't believe how much of that I can take in a sitting. But for me, it's like, well, I'm not in the shop, but I'm almost in my shop. Do I have time for a couple more questions? Yes. Okay. Yes, up here, right up front. Yes. So the phrase, I reject your reality and substitute my own, comes from a movie called The Dungeon Master. Am I correct about that? Yes, it comes, what's that? Yeah, it's called The Dungeon Master. I didn't know that at the time. I was working with a wonderful model maker in the early 90s who said that to me, and I thought it was so funny, I told him I was going to adopt it as a life phrase. Little did I know that someone would ascend to the presidency with that phrase. My catchphrase is being used not for good necessarily. But I'll give credit where credit is due. Let's see. Yes, sir. Yeah. What's that? It's a drawing of an Apollo flashlight. I can tell that right away. Are you going to build this? You're having a machine right now? You're machining it yourself. That's awesome. Can I have a high five? Oh, yeah, I totally can sign it. And now you've got some DNA on the pen. Excellent. In the back, waving the hat. Yes.
Iron Man, deep space.
Iron Man in deep space. You think I should do a deep space Iron Man?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking of a Desert Storm Iron Man and all the taupe and putty colors of Desert Storm camo.
Yeah.
But deep space is good too. Let's see, way in the back, holding your arm up. Yep. You're going to have to yell so much louder. Is it the most important skill in making things? Say again?
How do you get into a building to make larger things?
What skills for building larger things? You know, it's the same as building small things. It's just about thinking through the shapes. I have this model making book in outline form on my computer for the last 15 years, and someday I will write it. I promise I will someday write it. But the whole first chapter is merely just about how to think through shapes and how to look at organic forms and see the shapes that are in there. Looking at an umbrella and realizing it's a triangle, but it's also a simple curve. Looking at a car and realizing that it's this part of a cylinder, this part of a compound curve, this part of a rectangle, this part of a cube. And once you can start to break things down into those shapes, then you can start to make those shapes and figure out what tools you need and what order of operations. But this thinking through the shapes, I mean, for me, the best skill that taught me everything else was building paper models. Building this wonderful series of books called The World at Your Feet by Alan Rose, an architect, and these came out in the 80s. And you could build the Taj Mahal or the Sears Tower in Chicago or the Chrysler Building in New York. And these were paper models. They're not die cut, they're not pre-scored, they're just blank sheets. They're just sheets of paper with drawings on them, and you've got to do all the scoring. But if you can build a model out of paper, you can build anything. Seriously, because paper construction is the same as sewing, is the same as welding, is the same as carpentry. These are planar forms meeting under certain rules and conditions. And if you can learn one, all the others become cross-translatable. How are we doing, Sherry? Where are we at? What's that?
Mike is going to give you your next set of instructions.
Okay. Mike, how are we doing?
Doing great. So I'm going to tell the... All right, so I'm gonna give everybody the guidelines for getting autographs from you.
Yes, absolutely.
And a couple other quick things. So let's go over here.
Okay.
First of all, I wanted to say thanks, and I wanted to make sure you got one of the Maker Faire blue ribbons.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I mean, year after year, you come here and you inspire all of us, and it's just the best. And it means a lot to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, as he always does, Adam's going to be signing autographs. It'll be happening at this table over here with the red umbrella. we're gonna have you guys queue up along here and make your way over and around that side. Adam's gonna take a couple minutes to catch his breath, so come on in. Everybody's gonna get their autograph signed, so there's no need to crush in. Just take your time, relax, enjoy Maker Faire, enjoy being with each other, and we've got postcards that you guys will be signing, or that Adam will be signing for you guys. And
You can sign them for me too if you'd like.
that sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you guys for the awesome questions. I will see you at the autograph table in a few minutes. I love you guys. See you at next year's Maker Faire if I don't see you on the table.